Hello and welcome to another edition of Crazy Critique. This is of course another edition within my 2017 awards season series of reviews and videos. The film in question I'm looking at today is the story of three African American mathematicians in NASA in the early 60s, and that film is of course Hidden Figures. Now, Hidden Figures is directed by Theodore Melfi, whose previous work involved directing, writing, and producing the bittersweet comedy drama Saint Vincent that came out 3 years ago, I believe it was, and that starred Bill Murray and Melissa McCarthy and others. I rather like that film. It had a nice combination of a bit of comedy, a bit of nice dramatic story, and yeah, it was a nice feel-good film. And this is exactly where this film comes into play, doesn't it? Because let's face it, for whatever qualities you're going to maybe talk about this film, this is a principally led and starred by African American story and cast. So, and considering, like we say, what has been going on in the awards seasons in recent years, that can't be ignored, can it? Now, I suppose what the question has to be asked then is, well, is this film worthy of the actual accolade it's receiving? Or, yeah, I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? We've got to judge it purely on film qualities. So, like I say, this is a story about three African American mathematicians who worked within the confines of NASA in the early 60s. They are principally played by Taraji P. Henson, who plays Katherine G. Johnson, who calculated flight trajectories for the Project Mercury and other missions afterwards within NASA. It also features Octavia Spencer as Dorothy Vaughan as a supervisor within NASA, and Janelle Monáe, who plays Mary Jackson, who is looking to become an engineer within NASA as well. So like I say, it's a film of great historical interest and significance, and is most certainly deserving of a film treatment. Now, what has to be said is that yes, it is a very feel-good film. It's absolutely a feel-good film, and it's probably what this industry and award season needed at this moment in time, because there's always tends to be a feeling of lots of dark and depressing stories that are extremely well performed, but they are dark and depressing stories. Whereas this is one that is very uplifting and feel good, and does make you have some sort of faith in humanity in certain ways, considering what is going on in the political world right now. But like I say, we have got to judge this purely on film qualities, and I'll start with the performances of the principal cast. I thought Taraji P. Henson was extremely entertaining and extremely good. Octavia Spencer seems to be getting a lot of the critical praise. She's garnered, I think it's an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. She is damn decent in this film, but I wouldn't say it's a film where her performance is something that you go, wow, that was a great performance. That's a truly great performance by Octavia Spencer. I think there's a lot of the other ingredients in the film that are better than her, and I don't mean that as a slight, but I thought Janelle Monáe was more of an interesting, differently portrayed character than we've seen recently on screens, and so therefore surely I think is worthy of a bit more critical attention as Mary Jackson. She seems to have more of juicy dialogue and more juicy interactions with people, and I just thought that was more of an not worthy, it's horrible to say, a more worthy acting performance, but I think her performance needs to be talked up a bit more, because I thought it was very good. But like I say, Taraji P. Henson I thought was extremely engaging, and I've always been a fan of Taraji P. Henson. I am a guilty pleasure fan of Empire, I'm not going to lie. But I had seen her work of hers before regarding Hustle and Flow with Terrence Howard, and I thought she was extremely good in that. So I'm a fan. In supporting positions, we have Kevin Costner, who plays Al Harrison, the director of the Space Task Group that she is assigned to do the the mathematical problems for the missions. And there's also support from Kirsten Dunst, who's had to be a supervisor to Octavia Spencer's supervisor of African American independent mathematicians within NASA. So she's a supervisor to her supervisor, if you will. And there's also Jim Parsons, who obviously most people will know from The Big Bang Theory, who plays effectively a boss or head engineer in the Space Task Group. and kind of a boss, like I say, to Taraji P. Henson, who was brought in. And it's all about, isn't it? It is all about the sort of race relations in terms of that and how not only African Americans were viewed in terms of industry and just society, but also obviously in terms of women as well, in terms of that as well. So it's a very sort of groundbreaking, convention breaking film, obviously in terms of historical significance. I do think it's a little bit not on the nose with some of the things it's doing, but I get it. I get it. I get its story. I know what you're trying to do. I am very supportive of certain themes you're going for. I just don't think all of them are absolutely brilliantly portrayed. I thought the more interesting story was when Janelle Monáe, Mary Jackson, is having to fight to have the right to learn to become an engineer in terms of courses where she can get accepted into places. Well, she can't get accepted into certain colleges without having something from there, but that's an all-white school, so therefore she can't get the qualifications and so on, blah, 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 blah. But that was more engaging for me as a story, and it was more of obviously a little side one, but I really was a fan, clearly, of this Janelle Monáe performance. Some nice support again from Mahershala Ali, who pops up again. He's popping up in these everything right now, isn't he? He was in Moonlight and he got an Oscar nomination for as well. He pops up as a military officer who effectively courts Catherine G. Johnson's Taraji P. Henson's character. Taraji P. Henson's character, Catherine G. Johnson, and it's a love interest for the film. So I think there's lots to admire with the film. It's got nominations for Best Supporting Actor for Octavia Spencer. It's got a Best Adapted Screenplay nomination, Oscar nomination, and it's also going to be nominated for Best Film. I think the writing, deserving. I do think it's deserving. It's great interactive dialogue. There's little bits, like I say, on the nose, but generally it's a very, very, very warm, engaging, and thought-provoking script. And also it's been nominated for Best Film. Now, I would actually say it's not one of the best films of the year. And I hate to say that because as such a liberal as I am, I want to go, oh yes, it's a fantastic film, a fantastic story, and it encompasses everything about what we want to see in film. There's stuff about it that's very much on the nose, and you've also got to take into effect, I know it's a film, I know it's used as based on true events, but there's also got to be a certain thing taken into consideration about how much of it is true in terms of depictions. And I had done a little bit of research in terms of what in the film was true and what is false, and I understand sometimes time shifting things to make it a bit more dramatic and so on and so forth. I saw that purely in Sully, the Tom Hanks film about landing the plane on the Hudson River, and it does lose a little in terms of some sort of credibility when little things, dramatic moments are a bit overemphasized just purely for the film and not for the story. So it does come back a little bit from that sort of aspect. I'm being very harsh here, I will say, I'm being very harsh, but it is a very engaging and interesting story. I definitely urge people to seek it out if they can. And like I say, considering we have been through a sort of controversial sort of year in terms of awards nominations and so on, it is certainly a film worthy of attention. Whether it is absolutely one of the best films, I would probably say not. Great components of the films, and so like I say, certainly worth seeking out if you can. So there we go. That was Hidden Figures, directed by Theodore Melfitt and principally performed by Taraji P. Henson, Octavia Spencer, and Janelle Monáe. You know, I was briefly mentioned, Kevin Costner is as reliable as ever. He is extremely reliable. He's a great sort of embodiment of America, isn't he? Whether you do like Costner or not, he's got gravitas, and he has got a bit of earthiness as well. A gravitas and earthiness, which is such a hard combination to have both things of. So yeah, we go, yeah. Hidden Figures. Definitely worth seeking out. A really interesting and important story to review. And, like I say, watch it if you can, please. Okay, right, that was my review of Hidden Figures. My next film review will be of Manchester by the Sea. It's a bit down. It gets a bit more gritty and a bit more darker. But yeah, that will be my next review, hopefully, on my award season 2017. I thank you if you have for watching, and I do hope to see and speak to you very, very soon. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.